Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview for Villa's game against Hull City on Saturday. Hull City Tigers. I knew you were going to do that. I had to stop myself from doing it. They do that weird chant, don't they? Mauled by the Tigers. Hopefully we don't get mauled by the Tigers.
Oh, we might. That might be the next week's podcast title.
Yeah, mauled by... Oh, God, I hope not.
Hull City, 6 out of 6, and the in-form Premier League team, Dan.
Well, not in the Premier League, mate.
Hull City, the form team in the Championship, 6 wins out of 6, Dan, and now they come to Villa Park on Saturday afternoon. It's not looking good for Villa, is it?
I'm going to be honest, if the podcast talking about Villa's 3-0 defeat to Wigan didn't cheer me up, you talking about is about to play the form team in the Championship will do.
Yeah, so... I mean, what can we expect from this game? Hull are charging up the table. We talked about in the podcast how close it is. The Championship generally is close, and it needs one team to kind of take advantage. Hull City are that team right now.
Yeah, I said to you earlier in the lift, when we were collecting our stuff, not that that's particularly relevant, but I said to you in the lift that everyone keeps saying for us, well, Fulham were in such and such place, and they made the playoffs and finished third. That's what Villa could do. Well, I'd say Hull are looking like they're going to do that.
Yep.
At the moment. They're not. I look at their team. We obviously beat them on day one of the season. And you think, okay, they've got Jared Bowen, who's a very good player, but much of a muchness, really, isn't it? But they're on absolute fire at the moment. Winning 6 games in a row in the Championship. I bet that's something. I think we did do it last year, to be fair, but it's a hard thing to do. So credit to them because they've spent no money.
Yeah, and it's not like they're easy games either. They beat Leeds away. They beat Bolton 6-0. They've just beaten Sheffield Wednesday 3-0. You know, they're dominating teams, and that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
They did exactly what we tried to do by resting players for the FA Cup. They lost 2-1, fine, and then they go out and win 3-0.
And that's what you've got to do.
Villa do the exact opposite, get battered in the FA Cup, then get battered in the league as well by Wigan. So you've got 2 polar opposite teams right now, one that couldn't be in better spirits, and Villa, who just seem to be sagging.
Yeah, I mean, a month or so ago, I looked at this game and thought, 3 points. 3 points to Villa, pretty standard stuff. We'll beat Hull. But now I look at it and think, geez, this is going to be really tough on Saturday. And I'm not particularly looking forward to it. You even would have thought that the Hull fans love Tommy Elphick. By the sounds of it, you'd have thought that might have disrupted them a bit. Their main centre back being taken from them, but they've just picked up where they left off. They've just continued. It hasn't made a difference, has it? So they're flying at the moment. Jared Bowen's been linked with Spurs. I think I saw last week. I mean, I don't think he'll go to Spurs, but he's been linked there. I'm surprised he's still at Hull because he had a good season last season.
Yeah.
You'd think he would have got picked off. They got the lad Grzinski on the wing, who I liked when Hull were in the Premier League under Marco Silva. I thought he was a good player. He's still there. So you know what? Fair play to him. Nigel Atkins has got them going.
Yeah, Nigel Atkins. Do you know what? I remember when Nigel Atkins got the boot from Southampton and Pochettino came in, and I just thought that's such an unfair gig because Atkins has done so well to bring. I think he brought them up from League One.
Yeah, he did
all the way, and he was doing well, and they were a consistent team in the Premier. Obviously, Pochettino turned out to be an inspired choice, and they obviously made the right decision. But Atkins kind of then drifted around a little bit. He didn't really make any great impressions, and I think he had a couple of jobs.
He went to Reading and didn't do great.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. He seems to have found his form again at Hull, and
a tough gig as well.
It is a tough gig because it's not. And this sounds slightly disrespectful, but it's not. It's just real. It's not a particularly glamorous place to go for players. Not to say Birmingham's glamorous, but it's got some allure. Whereas
I've
Hull,
never heard Birmingham described as having some allure.
Aston Villa's got allure, right? So, but he's doing really well, and like you say, he's managed to keep hold of these good quality players and it's reaping the rewards.
Yeah, like I say, fair play to him. He's done well at a few clubs. I think he did a good job at Scunthorpe as well. I think he was at Scunthorpe early before he was at Southampton. That's where they picked him up from. I mean, if that's wrong, someone will correct me in the comments. So he's always done a decent job in the Football League. Obviously, he had the Reading job that didn't go great. I'm pretty sure he's had another gig in between that as well that hasn't gone great. I think Hull fans would have been underwhelmed when he was appointed, but I think they'd have been happy to stay up. At the start of the season, they lost to a Aston Villa squad that was looking pretty thin on the ground, didn't they? And
you mentioned that early, and we watched that game in separate places, but we were on the WhatsApp group, and It was an awful game.
Hull looked terrible.
Hull looked bad, and Villa looked marginally better. Was it 3-1?
3-1. We had an inspired evening that in front of goal.
Yeah.
That night with people who don't really scoring the goals for us.
Yeah, and yet we talk about all of that. Villa in no form. Hull great form. There's only 1 point difference. Hull lead Villa.
That's because they've had a rotten start and they've made their way. They've won 6 in a row.
But could this be a catalyst for change? Again, I know we've talked about this for a while for Villa, but they need a result to kind of kick-start them back into form.
I mean, at some point there needs to be a change, isn't there? Because the longer this goes on, the more restless the natives are going to get, and none of us like Villa losing in the Championship. None of us like Villa being in the Championship. But if we continue to not win games, there will be a sense of disgruntlement in the crowd. I think it has the potential on Saturday to turn one of those days where you'd say it could turn ugly here.
Yeah,
because we expect to beat teams like Hull. And really, I think we should expect to beat them in some respects because we are Aston Villa, but we're where we are in the league for a reason. We're in the Championship for a reason because this I'm talking about before Dean Smith, and I'm talking about even before Bruce came in. It's been managed terribly, and there's been a lot of short-term thinking before Dean Smith's come in with Villa, and it hasn't paid dividends now. You look at where we are. It hasn't paid dividends. Smith is trying to play in a certain way, and there'll be people that have played most games under Smith that long-term he'll think, I don't think they're up to it. I don't. Long-term, I don't see them being part of my plans, but I'm going to have to play them at the moment because of the balance of the squad, and I don't think you can do wholesale surgery in January. We need to start winning games. The playoffs is... I mean, we've spoken a podcast about we look at that top 6 and think, can you really see any of them dropping out? If I'm being honest, I think it's a big ask. But we can still get into the top 6. We should at the very least be challenging for the top 6. But a few more results don't go our way for us. And the other results for the other teams, we're going to fall away, and it's going to be like a 16-17 season, our maiden season in the Championship. It's going to be a season of nothing.
Yeah, we're now mid-January, and the games are ticking away at this stage. You know, it's a long Championship season, but
still 19 games left.
But at some point, that becomes an insurmountable task, doesn't it? And like you said, the teams that are at the top are all good quality teams, and they're not necessarily going to fall apart like Bristol City did a few years ago. And
last season they did, didn't they?
There's been a couple of teams like that, and the teams that are up there right now don't look like they will do. So let's get back to the whole game, though. How much of a changed team do you see from the disastrous team that went out against Wigan?
I mean, one good thing is that you'd imagine Smith will be picking Elphic's brain leading into and that's not the question you've asked me at all.
No.
But you'd expect him to play on the... I was thinking maybe House will come in, but then I also think, well, actually Elphick knows these Hull players because he's played with them for half of the season, so maybe it makes sense to play him.
You'd think that he'd be marking their centre forwards every day in training.
Yeah. I'd expect Adoma to come back in. The wingers has been quite fluid, haven't they? They've been changing. We're not sure at the time of filming whether Codgers fit him, and he was linked with a move to Nice as well. Apparently, there was some people saying he was going to France to move to Nice. That hasn't materialised at the time of filming this podcast. It was a slight knock, wasn't it? Smith said so. Maybe he'll come back into contention because, as I've said, at the moment the wingers are very, very inconsistent. There's only so many changes you can make. The wing would be the only place I look at, or potentially Hutton for Bree. They're the only changes I could see us making. Centre
midfield stays the same, you think?
I think at home, those three are the ones that are the
first choice right now.
The first choice. They're better on the ball. They're better going forward. At home, I'd expect those three to play.
Big game for Kalinic. First home league game. 2-3-0 defeats on the bounce. Certainly not a lot he could have done on Saturday against Wigan. It's a huge game for him psychologically, I think, and he needs his defence to step up as well. It's going to be a back five effort, isn't it, against Hull?
I mean, I want to say, after conceding 3 twice, things can only get better, and then we could probably go and lose 3-0 again. I don't pin any blame on him for last week. Like I said in the podcast, he needs to decide on a back four again, like he did when he first came in, and just play them into form. Like we said, if Bree's going to be his right back, give him a consistent run, because things aren't going to get better until that defence. Obviously, you'll get injuries and you have to change. But if everyone's fit, things aren't going to get better defensively unless we've got that set in stone unit. And things were getting better when he was picking the same back four and goalkeeper every week. Injuries have made us have to deviate away from that. But it's a massive game for Kalinic, because if you suddenly have let in a few goals, again, your confidence is naturally going to be low. You maybe start making panicked rush decisions that you wouldn't usually make, have some rash moments. As a goalkeeper, it's tough as a goalkeeper to come in and have the start that he's had, because I think psychologically, and we've said before, football is massively psychological. It's going to play on his mind that he's shipping goals and he maybe make a bad decision, but hopefully he'll settle down and he'll come through it. Could do making a big save early on, for example, and although it sounds like he did that against Wigan.
Yeah,
but I'm hearing good reviews from him.
Yeah,
from the Wigan game. So first half in front of the whole end, demanding whole end. That'll be a big show of character from him if he can come through it.
Yeah. How are you feeling going into this game? And it doesn't sound positive. Well, let's put it out there. What are you thinking? Win, loss, draw?
We need to win. I'd describe it as must win. Probably. I've got a horrible feeling I did that last week for the Wigan game, because if we've got playoff aspirations, I think automatic aspirations is too much of an ask now.
Yeah.
If we've got playoff aspirations, we have to go on a run. And I'd say 2 home games in a row, Hull and Ipswich, although we've not been great at home, it's a good chance to do it, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, particularly, I think you're exactly right. I was going to come on to that. Ipswich is such a massive game, and if we come into that with a bit of a lift against Hull, I mean, the heart says win. The head really, I just don't see where it's going to come from.
No.
Because Hull are playing so well. But football's a funny game. You know, if I was Chris Dolan, I'd say I'd take 3 points right about now.
And Dolan will for sure take a draw, like he says on Twitter.
I'm going to go. I think I am going to go a draw.
Tom.
I think I'm going to go 1-1.
No, Tom.
And goal scorer.
I'm not accepting your negative agenda.
I'm going to have Conor Hourihane to score.
I'm going to go cagey 2-1 to Villa. Adoma's going to get his first goal of the season.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just think it's got to turn. We're a better team than what we're showing at the moment as well. I'd like to think the Wigan game really is the low point now, and that the only way is up. From there, maybe we've hit our lowest ebb, and the players are going to take a look at themselves, the manager's going to take a look at himself, and it's just all going to come together for us on Saturday. I'm fearful that you're going. I feel like you going's a bad omen, that you're going to the game. I don't know why I feel like that.
Last time I went up to Villa Park.
And the games I've been with you this season, they've all been away games, but I think we've lost every single time, haven't we?
We beat Wigan 3-2. I think I've been to Villa since then. I can't remember it though. But we beat Wigan 3-2.
Yeah, we've been to a few away games and it's been drab.
Yeah, it has been really, really bad.
We've lost them all.
Yeah.
I just think it has to turn. It needs to turn. I'm worried if we go 1 goal down, for example, the atmosphere is just going to come toxic. And I really thought those days were behind us. That makes me dread the game. That makes me dread going to the game when it's like that, because I hate it when it's like that. It's just not enjoyable at all, is it? But hopefully the players will just go out there and give us a performance. It'll be a cagey 2-1, I think, if it's a 2-1 with a hang-on job at the end. But I've said it in the podcast, we haven't really got anyone on good form at the moment. It feels like everyone is playing badly at the moment. It really is a collective thing. I don't think it's the time for scapegoats.
Yep.
I think it's a collective thing. Everyone needs to take responsibility for it and play for the badge and get themselves going again. But Hull are on good form. They're going to be coming here buzzing, whereas we might be there a bit antsy.
Yeah,
I think it's a really difficult game, and it saddens me to say Hull City at home is a difficult game, because a month or so ago I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, not because of anything to do with Hull, but because of Villa.
Well, because they were down the bottom and we were looking like we got ourselves together.
Yeah,
we've just gone. Smith's hit the ground running after his first few defeats. He's gone on a great run, and I just didn't foresee this happening. And it's happened. It's worrying.
Well, you've gone for a 2-1 win. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Let's see what happens on Saturday, and hopefully we have something positive to talk about when we get together for the podcast next week.
Let's hope so, Thomas. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then make sure you're giving it the big thumbs up and comment below with your predictions ahead of the Hull City Tigers game. I feel like I'm alienating Hull fans who probably don't like being called the Hull City Tigers.
But hate that.
At the end of the day, it's their name. If you're not already subscribed to the Villa View with your post notifications on, then if you could do that, that would really help us. I think we're pretty close to 14,000 now. Yeah. We're really edging. I had a look yesterday. So if you're not subscribed to us and you watch our content, please do that, because it really helps the channel grow. As I say, me and Tom are both at the game Saturday, so we'll both be knocking around for fan cams with Rollo. So come and see us and have your say on all things Aston Villa, in particular the whole game. Tom and myself have recorded a podcast earlier. We think it's a decent watch considering we've just been bashed 3-0 by Wigan. So if you could go and watch an hour of us talking about that, if you can bear to,
Sure.
Again, views help the channel grow. Please watch that.
Even if you don't watch it, just click on it.
Just click on it once.
Go and make your tea, and then come back in
let
an
it
hour.
run. Sometimes I do that
Yeah.
on videos when I'm sending Rollo files and stuff. Yeah, just click on it for 5 seconds.
As long as the next video isn't like Villa on tour or something like that, make sure you cut it off.
You don't want to be watching. No, do watch Villa on tour. They're very good. Thanks ever so much for watching this match preview. Stick with the channel. Stick with the Villa. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.